What's going on, guys? I'm Jay the Black. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I want to talk about this college football player, or former college football player, by the name of Zamar Kirven. He was a former Houston Cougar linebacker. He was actually just finishing up his third year with the program until he got kicked off the team. And he's been in the transfer portal ever since. But now we may get a glimpse into what may have been an issue with this guy. Because apparently, according to a couple different articles, but I'm reading the one from TexasFootball.com, it said that he was arrested and charged in connection with double homicide of two former high school football players that he actually knew and grew up playing football with. And that's according to KWTX. It says the alleged incident happened 2 a.m. on Saturday in Mart. Both victims in the case were former high school football players from the area. One was Sebion Kubica. That's how you say the last name, who played high school football at Riesel. Jacob Ybarra, who's 20, played high school football at Mart as well. Kirven knew both victims from playing high school football together, per McClendon County Sheriff Pernell McNamara. Kirven joined the Houston Cougars program in 2018 as a linebacker from Mart. He played 3 seasons with the team before being dismissed for a violation of team rules in December of 2020. He had been in the transfer portal ever since. Kirven played in 20 games as a member of the Cougars, starting 5 games as a sophomore. And that's pretty much all the information that they have now. But I want to say this. These young males need direction. And I saw a picture of him in his recruitment video or recruitment post where he was with his with the college, what is it, high school coach? I think it might have been a high school coach. It was him and his mother. I didn't see any father there. So we could be talking about a young man who never really had direction. This is a guy, okay, who received a full ride scholarship to the Houston Cougar program. I wouldn't say it's the greatest program right now, but he had an opportunity to play college football at a high level. And he ended up getting kicked off the team during a CV year. And he showed some flashes of promise, but those promises weren't made. So he was basically sent back home. Now, I don't know if they allow players to go home during the offseason or stay on campus. But this is a situation of a guy who started to spiral out of control once his college football career with the Houston Cougars was over. Now, I don't know what happened to get him kicked off the team, but obviously something occurred to the point to where he's getting kicked off the team and he hasn't been able to find a new team ever since. He's not even enrolled at a junior college. Now, I don't know how the junior college programs are. I don't know, have they opened up or they doing football activities? I would assume they are. There's a bunch of college football spring games going on right now. And he hasn't landed anywhere. I mean, there's a plethora of colleges in Texas, whether it be Division II, you got the HBCUs, and he has landed nowhere. He literally just went back home. And that's probably the wrong move, because a lot of these young men, without proper guidance, they fall apart. You know, I watched the football series on HBO, Last Chance U, right? I don't know if any of you have seen Last Chance U, but this situation kind of reminded me of the show Last Chance U, because Last Chance U is basically the behind the scenes look at junior college programs where you have troubled athletes who end up getting kicked off their college team, or they leave from high school to go to junior college because they didn't have the grades. And they're given basically one last opportunity to really be able to fulfill their football dreams, or they go back home to nothing. And a lot of these guys, man, you got those that succeed. They're able to get a full ride scholarship to a football program, major football program, or you got the guys who end up going home. They end up getting cut from the team, from a junior college team. Where do you go from there? You go back home. You go back home to nothing. And these young men have nothing to go back to. Now, according to the news report that I saw, because I watched the video news report, the two guys were brothers. These were two brothers, I believe, because I think they share a sister. According to the news report, they share a sister. So you have this guy with no guidance. He's at home around guys he grew up with. And things are getting said and tempers are flaring. Again, the emotions. These are young men. You have a 21-year-old in Zamar Kirven who has thrown away his life due to his own emotions and his own ill-advised decisions. Why are you walking around with a weapon on you? Why are you walking around? What are you doing? What is the point of that? The only reason why you be walking around with a weapon is if you plan on using it. And what they're going to have to try to figure out, was this premeditated? Was this a situation where they were in the streets and doing certain activities? 3 lives are lost in this situation. You have the 2 young men who are 20 and 22, who I believe may have been brothers. And then you have this 21-year-old. Life gone because of this bad decision, whose life spiraled completely out of control to the point to where he's back home in his home state, in his city. A lot of times that's not good for these young men. They work their whole lives to get to college, to get to the NFL. And when they go through a speed bump, because it happens, look how many success stories we've seen of guys getting kicked off the team, having to go to junior college, then going back to a major college football program, and then are able to have that success. I have seen success stories like that, but you also have the stories of guys, once they go from one team to the next team, next thing you know, they're completely out of football. They're not making it to the NFL for whatever reason. So it's back home they go. And that's not always the best thing. This guy had over 3 years of proper guidance in his life. Once he had no place to call home, as far as football is concerned, he went back to his original home, which clearly was not the best thing for him. I also want to add this in there too. Apparently, the 2 young men whose lives were taken, apparently they were both asleep when this occurred, when Zamar allegedly did what he did. And according to one of the young men's girlfriends, she stated that they were very close with each other. They they played sports together. They grew up together. They were friends. They allowed him to stay with them. They allowed Zamar to stay with them, which again, the police may not know what the motive is, but the fact that he was living with these 2 and this occurred lets me know that, something must have happened, because a lot of times situations will build up and it will make a situation that may not on the surface have been bad, but underneath the surface it had been bubbling for quite some time. And when you take people who are friends with each other, cool with each other, and you move them in together, it can make for a combustible situation. And that may have occurred here. I'm not saying that's what the ultimate motive was, but I really wouldn't be surprised.